what is the coolest thing that's happened to you since you've been the champion of the world?
Coolest thing? I mean, I felt like there's so many cool things that has happened. I mean, of late, I got to speak to Andrew Schultz, which I thought that was pretty cool. He's a guy I've been watching for a while. He's pretty funny, hilarious guy. Steve Harvey in the cage side.
Oh shit, that's right. Steve Harvey was there at UFC 280. That's right.
Yeah, that was cool as hell. He stood up and gave me like a standing ovation kind of thing. So I thought that was pretty dope. I gave him a little.
He looked miserable as fuck. Every time I saw him on TV, he was sitting there and he just had like this serious face. And I think he had the shades on. I mean, he's a cool mother effer. But yeah, he didn't look like he knew what the hell was going on.
I think he knew what was going on in my fight, though. It was a cool classic beatdown.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm going to be a scientist to work out that one. Harrington, show yourself. And I apologize for this guy that's going to come on right now. We don't know what he's going to look like. Sometimes he's naked. He's almost naked. There he is. Harrington is God, he works on the show. No, I'm kidding. He's a beloved member of the team. Harrington, how are you, sir? You got any good questions for our friend on Twitter?
Me personally, no. But the believers have tons and tons of great questions for Aljamain. So I'm just
that's
hoping
what
he
I meant.
has time to
Not
answer.
you. Can you read them out? I'm back away from the microphone. We have this every episode. Just a touch, just a smidge.
Is that good?
That's perfection.
Love it. Okay. Well, this was honestly this is interesting to me to start off with because this was asked probably more than anything. Do you ever see yourself fighting Merab? And if so, do you think it'll impact your current relationship like it did Liddell and Ortiz?
Yeah, it would definitely impact our relationship, and that's why we're not doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's 100% why we're not doing it. We both understand this, and I'm completely okay with that, and he's okay with that as well. Like, he just helped me for 10 strong, hard weeks of training, and I just helped him for his fight with Jose Aldo, the same exact thing. I literally flew to Vegas to go help him with his training camp. So, you know, I always coach these guys in Long Island. I teach the classes from time to time, and I go and help these guys whenever I can. You know, so he's a big part of my training camp as I am a big part of his training camp as well.
And talk about a perfect training partner. I mean, I never had that. Someone that's so good, so skilled in the same weight class that's currently active in the UFC. I mean, come on. They don't get any better training partners than that. I saw this one on Twitter, Harrington. I'm just going to piggyback on that. I saw this one earlier when I was just working out. He said, what is the funniest thing that Ray Longo has ever said to you when training or cornering you or one of your teammates? Because Ray Longo is a character, man. We love him.
The funniest thing? That's... I mean,
or outlandish or whatever. Just give us a bit of Ray Longo genius.
Ray Longo, here's one of his mannerisms, just like woo, 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 woo.
Yeah,
it's like he's crazy, man. I think he's certified, but we're all like that, you know. We all just like to make sound effects and we just have a good time and break each other's balls. But he's just good energy to have in the room. And even I think he's 63 now, maybe 64.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
I don't want to age him, but I'm gonna say 63. But he's still kicking, he's still moving, and to be traveling all the way to Dubai and Abu Dhabi, that's you know, it says a lot, you know. So there's a lot of good memories that we have. Some of them are like more like insider stuff, but yeah, he's just an all around good guy to be around and just fun to be around, especially when him and Matt get together. It's
I'm
crazy.
Sure. He reminds me very much of Jason Perillo. They're very, very similar people. I mean, obviously, Jason's from Jersey. I'm not sure where Ray Longo's from, but, you know, they're old school boxing coaches. You know what I'm saying? They're very similar people. Harrington.
So I don't even know if you're aware of this, Aljamain, but yesterday you became the second longest tenured bantamweight champion of all time at 604 days. The only person who's had the belt longer than you is Dominic Cruz, who obviously was out for a couple of years holding on to that belt. No one has ever defended the bantamweight title 3 times. You are now sitting on 2 defenses with a win in your next bout. If you're able to defend the belt, does that make you the greatest bantamweight of all time?
That's up for the people to decide. I mean, I know the killers I fought to get here, and I think I got the toughest resume in terms of like merit, like the opponents versus myself. Like everyone was high level within the top 10, so that's got to count for something. So I let the fans have to put their minds together and I guess make a decision on that. But I like to think I'm up there in that conversation.
That was a good question, Harrington. Well done. But, you know, just on that, Aljamain. I mean, look at Stipe Miocic, right? I think he defended it 3 times, right? So he is statistically regarded as the greatest heavyweight of all time. So, you do the math. If you're the only one to defend it 3 times, if it's good for Stipe, it should be good for Aljo. Harrington, what else we got, buddy?
Speaking of all-time greats at 135, at Glenn Commence 45 wants to know who would be your dream fight from anyone at 135, either past or present.
Dominic Cruz. I just feel like the pass, obviously, definitely the past. Yeah,
definitely the past.
Because that guy is obviously more durable. He had a crazy style that changed the game significantly, and it would have just been fun to mix it up with a guy like that. Obviously, I feel like a lot of his best years were taken away from him from injuries. But yeah, just in terms of respect, I called him out multiple times, but unfortunately, I wasn't ranked high enough to get that fight from him. But yeah, it's just been even if not to fight him, it would have been good to like learn from him or like to train with him for like a week or 2 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Dom's got such an analytical mind. You hear that when he commentates, he's got a fantastic mind for the sport. And, to your point, yeah, maybe his best years might be behind him. Got to be careful what I say.
I know you guys.
Oh, he'll come after me. Harrington.
Okay, this was kind of interesting, especially given where we're at in the calendar, seeing as you just defended the belt in Abu Dhabi. With this MSG card around the corner, Chris Topher wants to know, are you ever going to defend the strap in New York?
If New York Commission gets their shit together and change the medical ruling, which it just seems like all they need to do is have a conversation, that's all they need to do, and I could fight in New York.
Which rule?
It's I don't really even know. Like I had something that when I made my UFC debut, I had to get a CAT scan, and then they found something on my brain. It was like 1 or 2 millimeters, something like that. They couldn't tell if it was from the trauma from the fights and training. So I had to like monitor it. I had to get it scanned, and then I had to get a scan post-fight, and it stayed the same. And I got punched in the head a couple of times. So it stayed the same. That was my UFC debut against Cody Gibson. And I had to get monitored for like the next 3 years, and everything was pretty much relatively the same from a neurosurgeon that looked at everything, and I was good to go. But because of that, I haven't been able to fight in New York, only because Nevada requires a CAT scan, which made me ineligible because I had to get that CAT scan for New York, and they said, no, you can't fight here. So if they changed that, I'll be able to compete in New York. I fought there as an amateur, I think 3 or 4 times on the regional circuit, but that was when I was an amateur, long time ago. So it would be nice to actually revisit and actually do it as close to home as possible.
No doubt you'll be in attendance next week, UFC 281, Madison Square Garden. What do you think? Main event, Pereira, Adesanya. What are you saying?
That's a tough one, man. I do think Izzy's going to outpoint him. It's just whether or not Pereira can catch him. I think Pereira's, I'm not trying to like violate anybody, but I don't think he's the fastest guy. I think he's a little slow for the division. And I think Izzy's going to be able to pick him apart. But just like the other fights, Izzy was doing very, very well, but it just came down to that big shot that put him out, So with the smaller gloves, it could be a lot easier for him to do that. And we've seen it with the Sean Strickland fight. Doesn't take much.
Yep.
But I do think Izzy's going to outpoint him, might even wrestle him a bit. And I think, but obviously Pereira is a puncher's chance away from putting somebody out. And he's so calculated when he does throw. He might be plotting, but when he lines you up and he does touch you, these guys fall down. And I think that's something to be said. So it's going to be interesting. I think he's going to make it an entertaining fight. And I don't think Izzy's going to be able to hang out on the outside like he was able to do with these other fights with like Cannonier, Yoel Romero, that people have been criticizing him for. I'm like, hey, man, you want the belt? Go take the belt. You can't sit there and be mad at the champion for doing what he needs to do to win. And then you talk all that shit in the lead up to the fight and then you don't deliver on both guys, because Izzy does talk a lot of shit too. But yeah, I think if you want the belt to change your life, you got to go out there and take it from the guy.
100%. Harrington. Made this a good one. No pressure. We want funny. We want intelligent. It's got to be hilarious. It's got to be deep. It's got to really put Aljamain on the spot. So no pressure. Okay. Final question on behalf of the believers for Aljamain Sterling, the bantamweight champion of the world. Ask him a question worthy of a world champion giving up his free time, Harrington. What is the question?
I mean, you just did such a great job of breaking down Stylebender versus Pereira. I want you to keep that analyst hat on for just one more second. Cheeto Vera, Sean O'Malley rematch. Jacko 151515 wants to know who wins.
Good question.
I mean, honestly, the rematch is so far removed at this point, but both guys have been kind of developing their style a bit more and coming into their own. I think Cheeto looked really good in his fight with Cruz and Frankie. Not really with Frankie. Frankie outpointed him pretty easily, but the one with Dom, he looked relatively unfazed with all the shots that were landing. He's tough. He's durable. That could hurt him though in a fight with like O'Malley, because we saw in the first fight, O'Malley was kind of picking him apart a bit. Cheeto's a little bit of a slow starter, but we know he's tough. We know he's got the grappling, and we know when he gets into those tight positions, he's mean with those elbows. It's whether or not he can keep O'Malley in a corner long enough, which is a cage, long enough for him to really do damage or take O'Malley down, which Jan did, but he couldn't keep him down. So it would be a very interesting fight. I'm not sure who would really win that one, but I would like to see them run that one back. And if they do before I get back in there, then I would like to fight the winner of that. But I don't know. I think that's a very, because they're both so long, man. It's a tough one. You got the speed of it. It's almost like a Pereira versus a style bender. One guy's slick on the feet with his stand up, his hands, his kicks, and the other guy's more of like plotting. He's going to walk you down until he can land something big, like his kicks, and put you down.
Yep. Very, very good analysis there, Aljo. All right, mate. Well, listen, we'll leave you to it. We thank you for joining us. Sadly, I won't be there next weekend in New York. I'm devastated about that one. No, I know it's always special, Madison Square Garden. But Aljo, you're the man. Thank you for giving up your time today. Really, really appreciate it.
Hey, Mike, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, well, you take care, and we'll see you soon. Keep us posted. Next time there's a fight booked or anything, let us know. Come on, Aljo. We're the go-to place. You got to let us know. Aljo, you're the man. Thank you very much.
Take it easy.